Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Craft and Chat on Friday afternoon at 2 o'clock if you're in the UK. If you're watching me elsewhere in the world, it'll be a different time. And you'll probably be watching on the replay, although not necessarily, but you are equally welcome. As you all probably know, I upload this video to YouTube once I've finished, and so it's there for you to watch another time as often as you like. You can fast forward through any bits that don't interest you and just watch the bits that do. Do subscribe to me on YouTube. I've got lots and lots of videos there, and you'll get notified every time I upload something new if you click on the little bell there. So there's an idea for you. But thanks very much for joining me here on Facebook Live. So I've just moved my bin. I've got a bin underneath my desk, and it was on something and I just knew it was going to come crashing down any minute. Well, the weather's been lovely here today. Not entirely sunny, but sunny a lot of the time. It's warm outside. Actually, it's warmer outside than it is in the house at the moment for some strange reason. And it's quite breezy, but it is really lovely to see the sunshine. Everything is just blossoming and growing so fast in the garden at the moment. The rain and the sun really get things going this time of the year. And I know most of my birds must have babies, because in the last week the amount of food they're getting through has pretty much doubled, so they must be feeding lots of hungry mouths. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing some of the baby birds at the bird feeders very soon, I hope. All right then, so today I thought I would go through some easy packaging ideas for packaging up your beautiful homemade cards ready to give. But I'll go through just a couple of Stampin' Up! Updates before I get started on that. And I also ought to have a look at my iPad and just make sure that I am there and it all looks okay. Oh, and let's turn the volume down while I remember. Okay, let me find myself. And it looks like I'm live. Hooray. Okay, so Belinda says hi to everyone. You are very welcome, Belinda. It looks like Kay is here. Hello, Kay. And I've got some other numbers, but I don't know who they are. Oh, Sandy's here. Hi, Sandy. Sandy said she was going to be watching me watching part of this afternoon on the train. So I hope that the Wi-Fi or the mobile data or whatever it is you're using holds out, Sandy. All right, so where are we in the Stampin' Up! World then? Well, we are a couple of weeks now into the new annual catalogue. I can see that you're enjoying that. You're enjoying the new colours, and I'll talk a little bit more about the new colours in a moment. And lots of you have been ordering them. So far, the favourite seems to be Starry Sky. So we'll see if that changes over the coming weeks. I'm still loving Parakeet Party, that really, really bright green. And I also love Orchid Oasis. I'm not quite sure what an Orchid Oasis would look like, but that's a whole other story. Which is a beautiful kind of purpley blue, which I really like. Carol is here. Welcome, Carol. So happy that you could join me this afternoon. And Sandy says that so far so good. Her reception on her phone is okay for watching this, so that's good. So the annual catalogue continues. Towards the end of May, we will be announcing the last chance list for the January to June mini catalogue. So that catalogue runs right through until the end of June, but for the last month, fractionally over the last month, items which are not carrying over or are not going into hibernation and coming back later will be while stocks last only. And actually, if they're going into hibernation, they'll still be while stocks last, because then they'll turn off ordering for them and then they will come back at a later date. I haven't seen that list yet. I can make an educated guess, because if it's in the new annual catalogue, then you'll be able to continue to order it without any problems at all. But generally we lose all the patterned paper, a lot of the embellishments and ribbon, and then a good chunk of everything else as well. But I will tell you more about that once I have seen the list and it's been announced. Anything else to tell you? Let me just think. No, I think the only other main thing to tell you is that there will be no Stampin' Chat next week, next Friday. If you get my customer newsletter, there will also be no customer newsletter because I'm taking a week off. So I apologise for that and hope you'll forgive me. I'm going to spend a week with my daughter, which I'm very much looking forward to. And then the week after that, which will be, let me have a look, the 27th, I will be back as normal. So I have scheduled a post to go up next Friday just to remind you not to tune in at 2 o'clock. But if you've got your diaries or your calendars there, then make a note now. I don't want to disappoint anybody, but I will be back the week after as normal. So Maureen is here. She says hello to me and to everyone. Sandy is saying, goodness, it only seems like yesterday that the mini catalogue was launched. It does indeed, Sandy. Yes, it does indeed. I know. Time flies when you're having fun, doesn't it? Okay. I think that's probably all my announcements. And I'm going to turn the camera down and I'm going to talk for just a couple of minutes about the new colours. So let's make everything go pink as I cover you over and adjust my settings and turn the camera, and no doubt there will still be just a little bit of fiddling around once I've got everything facing my desk, because there always is. Okay, so let me take the sticky note off and we'll see what you can see. Right, let me adjust where things are a bit. Move my grid paper up. Actually, I've got more than one sheet there. I don't think that's going to be very helpful. Let me take off the extra one. Carefully file that on the floor and move this up a bit. Okay. And I can move that up even a little bit more as well. There we are. Okay. So in colours then, they are beautiful, they are bright, and there are two really good and cost-effective ways of getting your hands on a selection of them at the moment. You can order my sweet sampler, which I will show you, and you can order that now just by emailing me. And you can order it up until the end of May. As I'm talking to you, I'm just trying to get this cable out of the way. We've still got one there in view. What shall I do with that one? Let's put that one up there. There we are, that's better. Yeah, until the 27th of May, you can order this. Now, I've shown this before, so I'm going to go through it really, really fast, because those of you who've seen it before may need a refresher, but you won't want me to go through it in detail. So one sheet of each of the new colours of card. Oops, ribbon everywhere. A quarter of a pack of the patterned paper. So this gives you 2 sheets of each of the new colours, and there are 2 patterns, 2 different patterns on each piece of paper. So this one has florals on one side and stripes on the other. And this one has a sort of a check or tartan on one side and spots on the other. So you will get one of each in each colour. So 2 of each colour, because there's 2 double-sided designs, 5 colours, 2 sheets of each, 10 pieces of patterned paper. You get a piece of glimmer paper in each colour. These are lovely. They're 6 by 6 inches square, and the glimmer is an ombre. So it goes from dark to light. Very nice. This die cuts beautifully, or you can cut it out, cut it into strips with your trimmer, whatever you like. You'll also get a third of a pack of the matte decorative dots. So this gives you 5 large and 5 small in each of those 5 colours. And they are ombre as well, so some are dark and some are lighter shades. And then I won't spend the time and untangle all this, but you get a metre of each colour of the new metallic woven ribbon. So this is really lovely. It's an 1/8 of an inch wide. It's got a lovely metallic look to it that catches the light. You can fray the ends really nicely, or you can manipulate it and kind of pull it into shapes like that. Or you can pull the threads out and use the threads individually as if they were metallic thread. So it's a really versatile ribbon. So I work out how much everything costs at the catalogue prices. I add it all together and then I round it up to the nearest pound, and that's how I work out the pricing. So if you live close to me and you can collect it, that little pack is £15. If you'd like me to post it to you, I'll absolutely do that in a board backed envelope, and second class postage £17.50. Okay, order by May the 27th just by messaging me or emailing me. Right, let me pop that out of the way. Okay, so that's one way to get the in colours, and the other way to get the in colours is to join Stamping Up. Make loads of new crafting friends, come and craft with us, both in person and online. It doesn't matter where you live in the country or indeed in any of our European markets. You can join my team if you would like to. There are so many advantages to joining Stamping Up. I've listed them before, but it's just fantastic. You get a discount, you see new products first, you can buy new products first, you get your catalogues early. Have I said you make lots of lovely crafting friends? You can run a small business and earn a bit of income, or you can use it to support your hobby. The choice is yours. You can change how you do it the whole time you're a demonstrator. You're not locked into doing it one way, and all the benefits are available to everybody, no matter what they do when they join Stamping Up, whether you run a business or whether you don't. So at the moment, until the end of this month, when you join, Stamping Up will give you all 5 new in colour ink pads. They'll give you a pack of the pattern paper, a whole pack. They'll give you a pack of mixed A4 cards, so you get some of each colour, and they will give you some in colour grid paper as well, so like this but much prettier. So that's free, that's £62 worth, but you get that for nothing. They will also give you £31 worth of free products of your choice, because you'll pay £99 to join, but you'll choose £130 of products, and that will be all shipped to you free. I think that's an absolutely amazing deal. If you'd like to know more about it, please ask, and I can tell you more. I can answer all your questions. Oh, excuse me. Always seem to start coughing when I've been talking to you. I must remember to take a drink of water before my throat gets so dry I cough. Okay, let me pop that somewhere where I won't throw it all over my desk. All right, so now on to ideas for packaging up cards. If you like making cards, then you may have lots and lots of cards sitting in your craft room, or you may indeed not have lots of spare cards, but you might like to make cards when you've got a reason to do so. And in either of those cases, I think giving your cards to other people is a really nice thing to do. So I've got some cards here that I made on one of my lives for when the catalogue launched. If you saw that, you may have seen me make some of these and show you some of these. So these are all with the Sun Prints suite. So there's 4 cards there, which I think make a really nice set. There's a mixture of sentiments on there. So I will be very happy to give those to somebody, but I want something nice to present them in. So I'm going to make a little folder. So let me pull out all my bits here. I've got some ribbon. I'm using the Starry Sky metallic ribbon. I have some die cut labels here, and these are from the Natural Prints dies. These are in the Sun Prints suite, and that's the label die. It cuts a really nice label that's a very useful size. And I'm using 2 of the stamps from here. I'm using this one here, which is a selection of foliage, and I'm using the Heartfelt Thank You. Now there's lots of reasons you might give somebody a bundle of cards. It might be to say thank you, which is what I'm envisaging here. If you go to somebody's house, perhaps for a meal, or you go for a barbecue, something like that, and you just want to take a little token present, then I think a bundle of handmade cards is a really nice thing to give. So that's the kind of thing I'm thinking here. But they also make brilliant birthday presents. If you have somebody who's moved house, you could make them some little postcard style cards, or maybe some note cards Nothing doesn't have to be anything elaborate, but make a little stack, maybe 10 or so, for them to send out with their new addresses. I know lots of people text and email new addresses these days, but it's also really nice to send out a card, and I'm sure those would be very much appreciated. All right, I have a piece of the Sun Prints paper here. It's stripy on one side and it's kind of spotty and splashy on the other side. And I've got some measurements here for you. So my patterned paper measures 10 inches by 8.5 inches. You can also use card. Nice if you stamp your card perhaps, but I'm just using patterned paper, which works really well for this. And I'm going to score it landscape, that's with the long edge at the top, at 5 inches, and score it portrait at 1 3/4 inches. Then my ribbon, I need about 22 inches of ribbon to go around it and have enough to tie a bow. If you've got a reel of ribbon, it doesn't matter, you can roll it around, tie your bow and then cut off the extra. But if you're looking in your stash and thinking, have I got enough, you need about 22 inches. And then I've got some layers to go on the front. And actually I decided at the last minute to do an extra layer on here. So let me just write that other layer on there. So you've got all 3 sizes. Just move my paper for a minute. And then I'll run through these numbers in case you can't read my scrawl. So my biggest layer is 6.5 by 4 3/4. The next layer down is 6 1/4 by 4 1/2. So I've just gone down 1/4 of an inch. And then I've gone down 1/8 of an inch for my last layer, 6 1/8 by 4 3/8. Okay, if you want those back, let me know. First of all, I'm going to do my scoring of my paper. So let me bring in my paper trimmer. I'm going to use the scoring blade here, and I'm actually going to slip out the cutting blade because it is so easy to accidentally cut when you mean to score. And if it's going to happen, it's going to happen when I'm doing a live, isn't it? So I'm just going to take that out to be on the safe side. All right, I don't know which of these, maybe that side will be easiest for you to see on. So I'm going to score this landscape. So I've got the long side at the top at 5 inches. So I'm essentially just scoring it in half. And this is paper, so I'm just going to have quite a light touch on the scoring tool. And then I'm going to score it portrait at 1 3/4 of an inch. And again, not press down too hard. It's very easy to press down heavily and tear the patterned paper. If you're using card, it's a little bit tougher. Okay, find my bone folder, and now I'm just going to fold on the score lines. It doesn't matter which one I do first. And actually, I'm going to do it this way around. I want my stripes on the outside. So this is my outside, and I've made a mountain fold across and just folded up that narrow flap onto what's going to be the inside. And then I'll open it up, and then I'll fold it in half the other way, like that. So you could just fold your paper in half and then fold up a bit at the bottom, but you get a much better finish if you score it first. There we are. So I've got a fold down there and a fold down there near the bottom. Now I need my scissors, and actually I'm going to use my bigger scissors. These are Stampin' Up scissors, but we don't have them in the catalogue anymore, which is a bit of a shame. And I'm going to cut from about 1/8 of an inch to the right of that score line up to the point where the scores meet. And if I do it and then lay it flat, I think it'll be easier for you to see. And then I'm going to do the same, about 1/8 of an inch the other side of the score line. So I'm just snipping out a little triangle like that. Now you could measure it, but to be honest, it's not crucial what that measurement is, so I eyeball it, but by all means measure it if you feel more comfortable. And then I'm going to come in about 1/8 of an inch from the bottom corner and just cut up to that score line. If I lay that down, you can hopefully see this is straight and then this is angled in. And then I'm going to do exactly the same on the other side. And then, believe it or not, my folder is made. So this is incredibly easy. it gives you an opportunity to use some of that beautiful patterned paper that I know you've been hoarding. Okay, so this is my folder essentially. So this is folded up at the bottom. I've now got two little flaps or two little pockets. Taking that V out there takes the bulk away from this folded area. So when that folds, there's no pinching or puckering of what's on the inside. And then just taking that diagonal off the corners there just means that when you fold it over again, it just sits really nicely. So I'm just going to reinforce that score line because it doesn't look like it's sitting quite straight. There we are. So I'm going to decorate the front, but let me just show you that my cards and envelopes fit inside really nicely. So I'll put 2 envelopes each side and 2 cards on each side. And then this will just fold in half like that. All right, so now I'm going to decorate the front. So this is my front panel here. The first thing to do is to put the ribbon across, and then I will put a decorative panel on top of the ribbon, and that will just hold everything in place. So I'm going to put, that's still not straight, I'm sorry, you probably can't see, but this is not sitting straight. I think the first time I folded it, I wasn't very careful because I was chatting. There we are. All right, so I'm going to put some adhesive across the middle there just to grab the end of that ribbon, or the middle of the ribbon I should say. You can use a couple of glue dots. I've got stamping seal. You can use tear and tape, but I've just put a little bit of adhesive in the middle here, and then I'm going to put my ribbon across, and that will just hold it in place as I add my layers, and then I'm not trying to hold the ribbon as well as deal with the layers. And I'm using this metallic woven ribbon, but it is so narrow that I thought I would use a double length of it. So I'm just folding my piece in half and making sure that I don't have a twist in it. And then I'm going to try and get them to sit side by side like that. So I want the middle point is going to go on the fold of my folder like that. And that'll just make sure that I have the same amount going out towards the right and left. There we are. And then I'm just going to make sure that these stick down to where I've put my stamp and seal. If you've only got a single piece of ribbon here, this is easier still, but there we are. So those bits of ribbon are anchored there, and I'm just going to snip this here because that's where I folded my long piece in half. There we are. Okay, so let's put that round so it's in the right place before I put my front layers on. All right, so my layers are very simple. I've got a piece of Night of Navy card, which is 6.5 inches by 4 3/4. Then I've got a piece of basic white card, which is 6 1/4 by 4.5 inches. And then I have a piece of patterned paper. This again is from the Sun Prints, and this is 6 1/8 by 4 3/8. So when I glue these layers together, I will just have a narrow border of white around my paper, which I can't seem to hold straight, but something like that. So let's get those all glued down. If you've been watching me for a few weeks, you'll know that my glue has been running out for a while. I keep shaking it, but I've finally got myself a new bottle of glue out of the box. I bet you've been worrying about that at home, haven't you? Not really. Okay, let's pop that one down. Oh, I just slid that. Did you see that happen? Let's slide it back. And then put the paper on top. And this time my border is going to be much narrower. And then I'm just going to glue that on top of my ribbon. And actually I'm going to fold those little pocket pieces up now, just to make sure that I center everything properly. There we are. Put my cards inside. Fold it over, tie the ribbon, and then the cards are safely held inside, and then I'm just going to make a little label for the front. I should have just waited a minute more for that glue to grab. My corner's just peeling up because I've filled it up, but that will grab. All right. So I've got my label, and I have my Night of Navy ink. And I'm going to stamp the label first of all with this botanical stamp, but I want the ink really pale, so I'm going to stamp off several times. So that's 4 times I've stamped off, and now I'm going to stamp on my label. So it's very, very pale. I wanted the richness of the navy ink, but I didn't want it too dominating. And now I'm going to stamp my words over the top in ink straight from the ink pad. Actually, I'm going to have to bring this down. I'm sorry if that's hard for you to see as I'm stamping, but I'm not going to be able to get it on the label if I have it up there. There we are. So I will lift that up. It says, "A heartfelt thank you." So I'm going to pop that up on some dimensionals. There we are. So that is my completed little folder. And I did actually make another one. I really like these folders, and I have a lot of cards in my craft room. So I made another one here. I've just tweaked the measurements very slightly. This one is 6 cm, 7 cm, 8. That must be 8.5 by 10. What did I tell you on here? 8.5 by 10. Yes, same again. 8.5 by 10. So this one is taller. Yeah, that one's a little bit taller. This one is the 8.5 by 10 with the measurements I just gave you. I've been looking at this and thinking I've got a wider border top and bottom on that. I've obviously just trimmed my paper slightly differently. And that shows, you know, you can play with this, and if you've got bigger cards, make it taller, make it a little bit wider, that will work. So this one I've used the beautiful Hues of Happiness suite, some little dots on there to decorate it, and I've also, I don't know if it'll show, used some Wink of Stella on the flower centres. It's hard to show that, but it's a little bit sparkly. And then inside this one I've just popped 2 cards and envelopes. These are 2 that no, that's one I made with you live, that one I did with my team. So when you join Stampin' Up with me, we get together once a month and we do some crafting together, which is always fun. So that's one from this month's crafting. So there we are. So that's my first that I did, just a very straightforward rectangle of paper, fold up the bottom, trim it a little bit so it all sits nice and neatly, and then you have a folder to keep everything in. I'm going to quickly clean those stamps and get them out of the way. Karen's here. Don't worry about being late, Karen's not a problem. And you can always catch up the rest either by replaying the beginning of the video here or over on YouTube later on this afternoon. Sandy's saying bye-bye because she's coming into King's Cross. And Candy's here. Welcome, Candy. All right, so let me clear away all the things I've been using. And bring in something different. So here I've taken a bit of a cheat really for the container, but a cheat's okay, I think. These are the embossed treat bags, so you can find them in the new catalogue. They're on page 140. They come in a pack of 10. They're made of white card. They're quite sturdy. I don't know if you can see, but that really is a nice sturdy card, and they have a sort of a ribbed finish on them. Now you can ink these, you can spritz them with some ink, you can use your blending brushes or sponge daubers to decorate them. You can even stamp on them, but I would say to you that if you're going to stamp on them, hold your stamp down for longer than you normally would and make sure you've got good even pressure on it, because where you've got a ribbed finish on this, the stamps are going to want to skip little bits where you've got a slightly uneven surface. But it's not that deep, the embossing on this, so I have tried, and you can stamp on it, but you just need to make sure that you hold your stamp down for long enough. So they're £7 a pack. They're food safe. Did I say that? I think they're lovely. So you could put all kinds of things in this. If you were having a party and you want a little table gift, they'd be beautiful for that. They'd be perfect for children's party bags. They would be lovely for sending home cake after a party or some cookies, anything like that. But I am going to put cards in them. So I've made a few cards using some new paper which just arrived this week for me, and I actually must show you the paper before I do the cards because it is stunning. This is the Texture Chic paper. Now I haven't yet got the stamps and dies that go with it, but the paper is beautiful. So let me find the suite and show you. It's on page 98. Here we go. So the stamps feature the whole season round, and if you saw my launch day video, I picked this out as being a particularly good suite, I think, because it will cover you for all year. So you've got shells, you've got flowers, you've got leaves, you've got snowflakes and words, and then some textury bits as well. The dies cut those out, and then they also cut out all sorts of other shapes the same, so it'll cut you out a sort of an outline leaf, for instance, an outline snowflake. Actually, there's several snowflakes in there. It's really lovely, but the paper is what I got first, and it's absolutely gorgeous. So one side of each sheet has gold foiling on it, and I'll try and tilt it so the light catches the gold. Don't know if that's working, but it's really beautiful. And then on the back, this one has a kind of a wood plank design, but everything is slightly distressed. It's got spats on it. This looks a bit like it's a fence that's been painted in several different colours, and then it's just kind of weathered through the layers of paint. This one again has this sort of distressed gold foiling on it. This is dark green, evening evergreen. And then on the back we've got snowflakes. This one is pinks with gold and just a tiny, tiny touch of orange. Pink and orange together is my favourite colour combination. And then we've got florals on the back here against a background of kind of wood planks. So again, it's a very layered effect on these papers. This is pink and white with polka dots in gold. And then in the background there are big circles in the patterning as well. And then this has seashells on the back again with the wood grain sitting behind. You could create these with layers and layers and layers of stamping and inks applied. If you use acrylic paints, you could use those. You could use gold foiling or gold embossing. You could use a jelly plate to print. It would be quite a complex process. Here, all that subtle layering has been done for you. This has got leaves on it. So leaves are in the orange and a very, very dark sort of black really. And then you've got paint splodges on it as well. And then the wood grain behind all that in the background. It's beautiful paper. I don't think showing you like this really is doing it justice. Just believe me when I tell you it's absolutely stunning. And then this has got little tiny flowers on it. So the papers are absolutely gorgeous. So I thought, right, I cannot wait to start using these. So I've made some little note cards with the papers. Very simple cards because the paper was so lovely I didn't want to overpower it. So I've made two and I'm going to make one more with you. And I brought in my Friends Are Like seashell stamps. I don't have the coordinating stamps, but I decided I'd go with seashells. We're coming into the summer and this is a carryover from the last catalogue and I love all the seashells. So I've stamped some seashells here on a circle which I've cut with my new favourite dies. My new favourite dies being the Stylish Shapes dies, where you've got these nested stitched shapes. These are so useful. And these are Stampin' Up! Note cards, so you can buy these in packs of 20 along with the envelopes. The cards are cut and scored for you. It's brilliantly easy. The only thing about them is if you put lots of dimension, they won't fit in the envelopes. So the envelopes don't give you an awful lot of spare room. So you can put a couple of layers on as I have here, but if I put on 2 or 3 layers and then I'd use some dimensionals and then I'd use some rhinestones, it wouldn't fit in the envelope. So that's just a little caveat there. So I made thank you cards and my cable's just come down. I obviously did not stick my washi tape tightly enough. Let me just redo that so that cable is not across your view. Okay. And then I just stamped the envelope. So that's one card. This is another. I went with pinks. And then I'm going to make one more card. Let me find my stamps. So the colours in the paper are Evening Evergreen, Mango Melody, Petal Pink, Pool Party, Soft Succulent and Soft Suede. So for this one I've gone with Pool Party and Evening Evergreen. So I've got a layer of paper to go on my card base. Once again, this is one of the note cards and these fit beautifully into those bags I showed you. And then I'm going to stamp on here. So I've got one of the seashell stamps. Don't know if I want to stamp that off. Let me just have a look. No. Straight from the ink pad, I think. And then I've got a thank you here. This is my new favourite stamp set. I've shown you my new favourite paper, my new favourite dies. This is Go To Greetings. This is, let me hold it down, I don't think you can see it all there. This is brilliant. This has got happy birthday, thinking of you, just a note and thank you in 3 different sizes and 3 different fonts. So you've got all those 4 really useful phrases, and they're the ones I go to all the time. In a really large flowy script font, in a smaller handwriting font, and then in kind of an italic handwriting. And then you've also got a little bonus hello here as well. So this is an absolutely brilliant word set. So I've got the kind of the medium-sized thank you. Oh, and I don't want pool party. Let me close that up before I use it. Evening Evergreen here. I've got my big Evening Evergreen ink pad packed, ready for a class. So I'm just using this little spot that came in one of my kits. And I'm just going to stamp this over the top there. Hope that's straight. And then that can go on here. And I'm sorry if you can hear the dog in the background. I look after my son's dog while he's at work. And she's lovely, but she's a really barky dog. And she's just having a real bark at a wood pigeon on our patio. She was happily asleep when I started this. Okay, so that's my card number 3. Oh, let me just stamp my envelope actually. Ooh, upside down. That was close. Let's put it the right way around. There we are. Okay, so that's my 3 cards ready. I've got my bag ready. That's a spare piece, as are those. And let me just make a little tag. So I've got some soft succulent ribbon here. And I've cut another of those white die cut circles plus a bigger one in green, all from that same die set. This is soft succulent. So I'm just going to stamp a really simple tag here. So I'm going to clean off those stamps and use the same ones again, but with different colours. Let me just have some of my tea, otherwise that will be cold. Lukewarm tea, not my favourite, but better than nothing. Okay. Now I've actually got a Blushing Bride ink here, rather than Petal Pink. There we are, and then I'm going to stamp the thank you over the top in soft succulent. There we are. So I'm giving a pack of thank you cards to say thank you. I'm hoping that's not confusing. And get that in the middle, and somewhere here they are. I've got some new embellishments as well. So these are the iridescent pearls. These are very, very pretty. Again, I don't know how well this will show up on the camera, but they are pearls in 2 sizes, and they're iridescent, so they have a finish on them. So you've got pink and purple and yellow and green in them as you tilt them in the light. They're really, really lovely. I've been dying to use them, and I think this is the project. Let's just scatter a couple or so. Yeah, 2 of those there, I think. And then I just need a hole in this so that I can thread through some twine. Got my crocodile here to punch a hole with, and I'm just going to mark where I want it in pencil. So I think about there. Ooh, and I've got a bit of paper stuck in there from last time. So now if I look through the hole in this, I can see where my pencil dot is and get the hole exactly where I want it. So I'll fold my baker's twine in half. I'm sure you know how to do this. Put the loop through the hole and then put the 2 ends through the loop, and that just anchors the twine into that hole for me. And then bring in my bag. And tie this so that it hangs down there a little bit, and I'm going to try and get the knot at the back if I can, although I will be hiding it with some ribbon. Trying to get this so you can see it and I can tie it, which is, I think, impossible, so I'm just going to do it and then show you. Okay, let's do that again. Alright, so I know that you probably can't see what I'm doing, but I'm just going to tie a double knot in this. Trying to do it so that the knot is at the back. And I'm all fingers and thumbs today. Okay, let's trim those ends off. Right, so that's my bag there with the tag hanging on it. Karen says that those, what are they called, texture chic papers look really versatile and will work with so many different stamps and dies. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, Karen. Karen says she'd missed them in the catalogue. It's so easy to miss things in a new catalogue, isn't it? I'm still seeing things that I didn't know were there. So, yes. I point them out when I spot them, but I do miss things too. So now I'm just going to tie some ribbon around one of these handles, just on top of where that knot is, to help hold the tag in place and just make it look a little bit prettier. There we are. And this is actually the carryover ribbon. And it's called the Open Weave ribbon. Oh, do you know, I really am all fingers and thumbs today. Let's try that again. I'm just thinking, actually, if I'm just passing that ribbon through between the 2 pieces of baker's twine. I think that will hold the tag in better. Thinking as I go here. Do you get days when you can't tie bows and days when you can? I usually am pretty good, but today I really feel like my hands aren't receiving the messages from my brain. Okay, I'm going to trim that off and then titivate it a little bit and then trim it properly. So I'm just trying to tuck that knot of the baker's twine underneath. I tried to get the knot kind of inside the bag, but I obviously failed miserably at that. There we are, that's better. Okay, now let's just twist the bow a little bit. There we are. And if all else fails, I'll do what I always do, which is resort to a glue dot. They never let me down. Yeah, that definitely needs a glue dot today. Pull one of those off, and I'm just going to tuck it behind the knot of the bow. It's on the tip of my scissors, and I'll just tuck it in there. And then when I put this bow down straight, there we are. It's better. It's staying much straighter now. And let's just trim the ribbon ends. There we are. So that's my bag decoration. So I've kept it very simple. And then I have my 4 cards here. Now they will just tuck in, or indeed I'm just going to pop them on top of each other, and I'm going to pop some ribbon around them and just tie them. So I'll cross it on the back, just as if I was wrapping it round a parcel. Oh, wrap around my scissors. I am really cat-handed today. Okay, and then I'm sliding the 2 ends under that middle piece, and then when I tie them in a knot, they hold the vertical and the horizontals together like that. Let's see if I can tie a better bow with this one. Yeah, that's definitely better than I've been doing anyway. There we are. So that's got my little cards just tied in a little bundle, and then they will pop in the bag. And there we are. There is my little hostess gift, or thank you gift, or whatever I want it to be. So I think those are really sweet. I haven't told you what those bags measure, have I? That is 6.5 inches high, 4 3/4 of an inch wide, and then the depth there is 1.5 inches. So you could actually fit quite a lot in there. You could always tuck a few, I don't know, Lindor or something like that, chocolates in there as well with your cards, which would be nice. All right, I'm going to quickly clean those stamps. Then I have one final very quick idea for you, which requires no measuring, a small amount of fiddling but no measuring. Right, let's move the ink pads out of the way, and the ribbon and the stamps. Okay. So I've got some more cards which I made during my live broadcasts last week. These all use the in colours. So there's 2 of one design and 2 of another, plus some envelopes, because it's no good sending cards without an envelope. So I'll set those aside, and I have a piece of paper here which measures 10 inches square. Yeah, 10 inches square, and this is from the Heart and Home pack, and I've picked the design that's got the blue on the inside. It's not the same blue, it's not one of the in colour blues, but I felt that it worked okay. But on the outside, which is the side that I'm going to be kind of displaying, it's got a wood grain, which I think is very neutral and works with almost anything. So all I'm going to do is wrap up my cards and envelopes. So I'm going to pop them in here. And you could measure this and have it all absolutely exact, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to do it by eye. So I'm going to try and get this in the middle, and I've got my paper diagonally, so I've got a point here and a point up here. And I'm going to fold in these two points at the top and the bottom, and I really want them to be overlapping each other approximately in the middle of my cards. If they're over to one side, then I'm going to have to alter the position of my stack of cards, but it looks like that's about right. So they're coming over in the middle there like that, and then I'm just going to bring in the other two ends, and I'm flattening out the paper here either side, and it's going to fold there alongside where the envelopes are, so it's almost as if I'm making a little envelope around. So let me try and pick that up and show you the corners there. And then I'm going to fold this last piece down, so I'm going to flatten those sides and then fold the last side across. So there we are. So it's like I'm wrapping them up in a parcel or almost fashioning a little envelope around them. And now I need to lay that down while I find my ribbon, which I should have had ready. So this is the 1/8 of an inch cotton ribbon. This is in the mini catalogue, and it's from the On the Horizon suite. So I'm just going to wrap this around, so you can have the folded edge up as the front, or you can have that edge as the front. So I'm going to go with this one as the front, which means I need to start on that side, start wrapping my ribbon on that side, and then cross it on this side of the fold. And then bring it round to the front. Now I could have popped some little glue dots there just to hold all that in place. I haven't, but if you find that it's unravelling itself, then hold those corner pieces in place with some glue dots as you fold, and then it will just hold it in place, and then the ribbon is much easier to get round. So I'm doing this exactly as I showed you on the previous one, just as if I was wrapping a parcel. There we are. And then I'm going to make a little tag for it. So I cut one of the tailored tags dies from white card. I've got a little scrap of the same patterned paper, which I'm just going to tear on both sides. Like that. And I've got some white card to stamp onto. So how big this is going to be depends on what you're going to be stamping with, of course. So I'm using the Celebrating You stamp set, which has got greetings for every occasion in it, and I'm using the Just For You. As this is a gift, that seems like quite a good way of doing it. Now I probably should be using a big piece of card, stamping and then cutting it down. That is much easier, but you know, let's live on the edge, and I'll try and stamp on this narrow little slip. Oh, there we go. Look at that. I didn't expect that first time. Look, I've got spares here. Okay. Then I'm going to cut some banner ends in this, so I'll just trim off a little bit of the excess. And then I'm going to use my grid paper. I could measure it otherwise. And I'm just putting a little dent with my scissors in the center of each of those short sides. And then I'm going to cut in on that center mark and then cut from the points to that first cut. And that will give me a perfectly, let me lay that on there, a perfectly even banner end. Same the other side. There we are. Oh, and I stamped in basic grey ink. I don't think I said that. So I don't know if I want my paper kind of diagonal or if I want it straight. Yeah, straight, I think. I'll turn this over, cut off the excess. Which is much easier than trying to measure it in the first place. So that's my little scrap of paper on there. And then I'll pop my banner on there. Now this is going to go over the edges, so I don't want to put glue right the way along. I just want to put it on the part that's going to stick to the tag. And actually, let me undo this bow that I so carefully tied and just thread my tag on there, and then I'll tie the bow over the top. The ends never end up the same, do they, when you've tied a bow for the second time? That one's longer. Let me trim that off. So there we are. That is a very quick way of wrapping some cards up. Pull out your favourite patterned paper, or maybe choose some that you've used on your cards, and just wrap it up like a parcel, add a little tag, and it's there. And in fact, let's add, because we've got them out, let's add some of these iridescent pearls, because I think that's going to improve it, because they're so pretty. They'd improve anything. Got a bit of fluff stuck to that one. There we are. That's prettier, isn't it? All right then, so 3 ideas for packaging up some of your cards to give as gifts. Make a little bit of space here, and then I will bring in the things that I made earlier and show you everything together. Get rid of some of this litter. So that's number 3. Then we did the bag and the folder, where I seem to have measured my paper slightly wrongly, but it still worked, so how about that? So I do encourage you to give some cards again as a gift, to give them as a gift. I think they'll be really well received. I'm sure all your projects are absolutely beautiful, and if you've got loads and loads of cards in your craft room, then this is a really good way to pass some of them on to somebody, share the love, and make some space for you to make some more. So, Carol saying I worked my magic again. Carol thinks I have a very soothing voice that sends her to sleep, so I'm hoping I'm not boring her to sleep. She says she'll have to rewind and try and stay awake next time. Well, you must have needed a nap, Carol, that's all I can say. And Maureen, thank you very much. I'm glad you enjoyed the ideas. Right, so I'm going to say goodbye to you. I usually put the camera up at this point, don't I? Let me do that and then I can say a proper goodbye to you. Okay, let's just alter that setting. And hopefully, there we go. Yeah, I'm not upside down. All right. So thank you very much. And remember, I won't be here next Friday, but I will be here the Friday after. So I'll look forward to seeing you then. And until I do, take care of yourselves and happy crafting. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.